Previously on Kimba TV. So we got both of those still running, and then gold. Gold at, yeah. Gold is pretty Gucci. You know, not in a head short yet, waiting for that. I mean, give it up for that line. Give it up for that useless line. Seox is asking, if the price drops, wouldn't there be support at 66.4? If it falls below that price, wouldn't it be breaking the bullish structure? I would start with no. The real question is, if it breaks or loses what it's quote unquote not supposed to over the weekend, does it count? So if that's supposed to be a resistance and it goes above over the weekend, does it count? Does it, if it's supposed to be support but it loses it, does it count? So what you would have to refer back to is your experience trading over the weekend. If this is your first time trading during the weekend when it's supposed to hold a support or hold a resistance, you're going to have to see what happens. But hopefully you have some trades to reference back to. All right, Seox, that's how I would think about it if I were you. Domingo says, I'm gonna coffee too. Let's go. Way it is I took a shot at value area high reaction. Nice, right here. So you never have to take the first wick. How many people are in this short? So Kimba box. Stop loss higher high. This is actually acceptable because if you guys remember, we've done a couple of the shorts and longs like this before. Is since CME has paused, you're thinking, okay, they're going to save that until later. Maybe it won't make a higher high. Your entry is probably right around here. So that reaction is probably not helping you out a little bit. Kind of might be holding the 0.5. But yeah, curve, we'll see what the reaction is. Probably might want to pay attention to that zone next. Sounds good way it is. TX, what's going on? Tiberiu, what's going on? Latuche up, what's going on? Paratel, what's going on? Larry, what's going on? SRS, what's going on? Venom, what's going on? That boy Houston says, I didn't have enough confluence for a short. Yeah, I'm going to just wait until Sunday, Monday. Not really going to stress myself too much over the weekend. Lions don't place this. Since CME didn't sweep, how likely do you think it'll sweep Monday? Well, again, Lions don't play. It's not really so much about asking questions like that. It's about knowing how to answer it yourself. So, again, if like I can remember the last, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 weekends. I can at least remember like the last 2 months worth of weekends. I mean, it's only 8 Saturdays, right? So I have a pretty good idea of when sweeps don't happen on a Friday, how often it happens on a Sunday or Monday. If you have no idea, it won't matter what I say to you. You have to know it for yourself. So somebody that knows, you know, like me in the last, 3-4 months, it will usually sweep on a Monday or a Tuesday versus somebody that doesn't actually know that, but is taking it at my word, is probably going to have a little bit of a harder time with the bias. So yeah, make sure you go back and take a look at it. Never just take it as somebody's word. Always go back and look at the data yourself. Sounds good. The person that wants to minimize their workload, sometimes people will disguise their laziness as saying, oh, I'm going to just trust you. No, you're just being lazy. So the trader that goes back and looks at it for themselves will do much better than somebody that just takes somebody else's word for it. Sounds good? But you can definitely go back and take a look. I'm going to be patient for Monday and Tuesday. Because what's really interesting that you're going to want to pick up on Lions Don't Play is everybody will be waiting for Sunday or Monday future resumption to do the sweep. It won't happen, okay? A lot of people will think like this. A lot of people will be thinking, okay, it's going to do it on Sunday or Monday, okay? So when it starts to do some shit like this, people, like, that's when they get into like a short right there, and then it does this. And then they're thinking, fuck, I should have just waited for it. So not only, that's why I think it's good for you to go back and look at it yourself. I could tell you, hey man, on Monday or Tuesday, it'll probably sweep it. But that sentence doesn't show you like, hey man, it might do some weird shit like this first. Yeah, but instead of asking, hey, what's the bullish scenario? You should tell me what the bullish scenario is for you. Okay, if this is your thought process, okay, and this is my thought process, okay, if I am thinking that the price is going to do something like this, but you think that it's going to do something like this, you want to see for yourself why you couldn't see it like that. You don't want to just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to just completely scratch what I thought and I'm going to try to copy what he was thinking. That's never going to work. You want to try to adjust how you were thinking, you know, to see it maybe similar like me. But you don't want to try to just completely adopt somebody else's thought process. That won't ever work. If you do that, you're always going to have to ask, hey, what's the plan? Hey, what's the plan? Hey, what's the higher time frame bias? So, you know, you tell me, like for me, staying above here, bullish. Staying above 64, bullish. You just broke out of a volume zone, so you would aim for the next cluster. If that one gets out, then we already have this range. It's level to level. So for me, price, range, and if it leaves, it's going to go. If it leaves this range, then it's going to go back to the value area low. So that's all I'm doing. That's why really for me, as long as I do the upkeep on the TA pretty well, I really only have to do maybe 30 minutes of TA every day. I don't have to redo anything. I have the big story, and whenever I'm asleep or whatever I miss, I just fill in the missing gaps. So, yeah, ready. Instead of asking me like, hey, what would make it bullish? You tell me what would make it bullish and we can start from there. I think that would be a lot better. SRS, what's going on? Haran says, my BDC one shows bad highs of 67.3. Yeah, you're probably looking at the wrong CME. Yeah, so we've talked about this every day. That kind of tells me that you're not watching the highlights. Go to settings and then make sure you check that off. If you don't have that checked off, you're looking at the wrong CME chart, basically. Anything really in traditional markets, you better have this checked off. For 11 pieces, 200 EMA 4 hour that broke after 20 rejection now must hold price. Sure. I'm not really a EMA person though. Reddy says, I'm on ETH USD, seeing a simplest bullish scenario is just keeping the next levels, 30, 80, 3,000. Well, no, you don't really want to do that, Reddy. Well, so here's the thing. Reddy, you're not wrong in thinking that assets have to hold a level. What usually happens in crypto is people that think like that, they get hunted. So instead of you articulating it as it has to keep this level, okay, what I want you to focus more on is if it loses that level, how could it still be bullish? So for example, a swing fail pattern, okay? You might be thinking it can't lose this level. Well, what if it does that? What if it does a failed auction? That's extremely bullish. Okay, what if this pivot point has like a bullish div with the CVD? All right, ready? So a lot of times when people like that say, hey man, it can't lose this level, it'll do this. Bink, oh, it lost it. Oh, and they'll completely miss a failed auction, or they'll miss a swing fail opportunity. All right, ready? So I don't want you to focus just on some horizontal level that can't get lost or can't, but think of like the weird scenario where it loses it, but it's still bullish. All right, ready? Ready says, I said it wrong. I would like to see a swing fail pattern or failed auction on those levels. Good, good, good. And so let's take it another level. What if you don't get a swing fail or a failed auction? What if you don't get a structural edge? What if you have a hidden bull div? And it also makes a regular bull div inside of it. Is that good enough for you to take? And over the past few weekends, if you didn't have structural edge, but you had CVD divergence, do CVD divergences play out over the weekend? Since CVD is volume based and weekend is low volume, is it reliable? Once you start with like the basic data points, like what percentage of the last few weekends did it work? Is the CVD reliable? Do you want RSI as well? How many times over the weekend, if it doesn't sweep the CME, will it do it Sunday, Monday? So those are all probabilities that anybody with a TradingView account would be able to go back and check, right? It would just be literally maybe 30 minutes of effort. Right? Today is the 18th, so the 11th would be last Saturday. Okay, let me take a look at if there were any CVDs that played out on the 11th, right? Let me see what if there are any CVD or RSI divergences that played out on the 4th, right? It's within maybe 30 minutes of just basic effort, you would know the probabilities of CVDs playing out in the last 8 weekends, RSI divergences playing out in the last 8 weekends. You know, if any of them had CME sweep levels, you can cross-reference that data point. So just with that minimal effort, you would have like a guideline on probabilities of like those simple things. So Glaza says, I think I see 618 with previous day value low confluencing with the anchor box you drew yesterday with RSI and CVD makes lower low. Sure. Yeah, Glazas. Here's the thing. Any idea that you have for the weekend, all I would just want to make sure is you know that that's workable over the weekend, right? You're not just randomly trying something over the weekend. I always say this, but if you can't remember what happened before, you're basically trading it for the first time every time. So whatever it is that you're going to try to do this weekend, oh, I'm going to try a previous day value area low. Oh, I'm going to wait for the CVD divergence or a swing fail pattern at the value area low. Oh, I see a bad low down there. I'm going to wait for it to get swept. Whatever it is you're going to try over the weekend, I would want you to have cross-referenced it for the past weekends. That's it. As long as you have done that, take a shot, have fun. Invincible says, I was tempted to take a hedge short at 67.2, 67.3, but I didn't feel comfortable setting limits before going to sleep. Ah, nice. That's probably the right thing to do. Invincible. I don't know if you were here when we were talking about this, but if there is a time to try to take a short blind, this might have been okay, because if you can remember what we've seen before, since the CME has paused, what's going on with TradingView? There you go. Since CME is paused, this might be the one time where you might be able to get away with that, where you go swing high, swing low, Kimba box, stop loss. But yeah, that's a tricky one. I mean, I didn't take it. Endertat says, is it mainly because of your job that you get all those connections? No, I think it's just the relationships I build, Endertat. I mean, think about like the relationships that I've built just within the last year and a half with the stream. Did you know that there have been like business opportunities that have come about because of the stream? There's been people that were viewers, but eventually they were like, hey man, I'm working on this indicator. I'm working on this tool. Would you be interested in being an investor? You know? The thing is, Endertat, I am who I am, regardless of whether I was streaming or if I was just in like a random Discord. I've always tried to be helpful and hype everybody out and be supportive. And so I've just been able to like naturally cultivate relationships through the last 12 years I've been in crypto. Yeah, but like all of the whales that I've had for like the last 8-9 years, I developed it just like how I'm developing relationships with you guys. In fact, one of the quote unquote viewers, they have reached full whale status, and now they're, you know, now I have like another new whale with me. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not really like my job. It's just, I think what it is the quote is, a fisherman can recognize another fisherman from afar. You know, and I think if you're trading big, and it's kind of like whether we talk about private jets or going to Vegas or, you know, out, you know, doing a yacht trip in Miami. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know that I know what I'm talking about. So I think, like if you trade big, then you know I'm trading big too, and I think we just naturally attract. And at the same token, if you're just destined to be like a hater, you're never gonna understand that there's people like me, you know, that we trade big. So yeah, I've never really forced relationships, but naturally they just happen, man. You know. Cypher says, have you ever lost it all one day? Sure, yeah, but it's probably been like 7-8 years now. Yeah. Endertas says, honestly, that might get me into streaming again. Yeah, and really, like whether I was streaming or not, whether I was just in the Discord or not, I've always tried to be helpful. I've always tried to root for people. You know, it's never been like a I'm right and you're wrong type of discussion. So, yeah. Yeah, I think we, you know, similar people just kind of gravitate towards each other. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. Sleep well, rest well. I'll see you guys in the morning.